Autism is a numbing mystery. And for the parent who receives the diagnosis, at that very moment, you become suspended in time with fear. It's a moment that you never forget, like any moment when you remember where you were and what you were doing. When some tragic event suspended you or a nation, as we all just stood frozen for 1 minute, watching, waiting, and witnessing what we had just saw and heard. That sort of sums it up about autism. When you first received the diagnosis, you remember where you were, maybe what you were doing that day, and you become suspended in reality with fear about the future.
My name is Janice Warren. I am a native Houstonian. I'm a visual artist. I'm an art educator, and I'm also an advocate for individuals that lives with an autism spectrum disorder and also other disabilities, neurodevelopmental disabilities, physical disabilities. I'm delighted to be here today to share my story, to share my history. I wanted to begin a discussion, life as a parent. Life as a parent of a child that lives with and autism spectrum disorder. Currently, I'm the mother of 3 beautiful daughters, Maya, Emily, and Hannah. They're the joy of my life, and they keep me pretty busy. Hannah, my youngest daughter, lives with autism and also speech delay. She was diagnosed in June of 2012. And it came as a shock. It just kind of came out of the blue. There were a lot of warning signs, there were a lot of red flags, but at the time we just thought of it as being, a part of her being a preemie. Hannah was 1 pound and 11 ounces. And so we were informed at the time that, there would be some developmental delays, but I never thought about autism. And so we would notice the delay in speech, we would notice the lack of eye contact, we would notice that she wasn't responding to her names, and also that she was very withdrawn. She loved to be independently by herself, even when she's around other children or when she was around, fun, exciting activities that involved other children. And so fast forward, we received a report, about her diagnosis, and it was immediately shock. It was shock. I went through the different stages of grief that are aligned according to Autism Speaks, which is shock, shame, isolation, denial, and even suicide. All of those thoughts were running through my mind. My husband and I and my daughters, we dealt with the situation the best we knew how. And I immediately began to do a lot of research. As a parent living with a child with autism, you have to rearrange, redesign, and refocus the dreams that you have with that child. Because there are some challenges. There are lots of activities and events and things that it just won't necessarily flow according to they would with a child that does not have any type of delays. There's a lot involved in terms of just being a shadow and constantly trying to protect your child, trying to protect them from, the dangers of society and just helping them along this journey. And also just to give her what I call unconditional love, good old-fashioned love and hugs and support, and to direct her into, the best avenue, along with my other daughters. It doesn't stop, it doesn't get any easier because each stage is different.
As a parent of a child with special needs, I can say that the most rewarding thing I've experienced with Noah is the fact that we tend to learn just as much from him as we hope to teach him. Noah has been able to teach us patience, acceptance. He has taught us respect. He has taught us to be lighthearted and goodwill. And I hope to continue to be, that type of person, just based on the lessons that I've learned from Noah.
And I think any parent on this journey would understand what I am saying. We're trying to make them more like us, when in actuality, they make us become better people. And we're always in that process of being. So if it seems like I'm saying that having a child with autism is a wonderful thing, not exactly. It's a 24/7 job. It never goes away. There's never a break. You never get an off day, so to speak.
I've been an artist as long as I can remember. I come from a family of artists. I'm a third-generational artist. My father, my brothers, my grandfather were all visual artists. And I would say that I discovered my talents at a young age. I would often see my father creating murals on the side of vans in the early 70s and 80s, and he would work in the garage. That was his studio. And I just would admire and look for hours at what he was doing, how he was creating, and the passion that he had, and the unconditional love for just creating nonstop. I've always been a mixed media artist, meaning that I work with all types of materials. As my brother Malcolm put it, I express myself by any means necessary. I'm a mixed media artist who truly loves mosaic art. I love taking bits and pieces of materials that are discarded or that are thrown away and broken, and then transforming those pieces into beautiful works of art. And so when my daughter received that diagnosis, that same technique was later transformed into me teaching her as a homeschool mom. She was nonverbal at the time, but I was able to get her to communicate through the arts, expressing her desires, her wants, her feelings, and her needs. And also I was able to understand that art was truly a form of expression, a form of communication, a form of relaxation. And so with my art, I'm able to transform this journey of being an autistic mom with a child with autism, and transform some of the imagery, some of the feelings, some of the emotions that not only I experience, but that are experienced by other mothers and parents, and tell our story.
What is it like teaching children that are on the spectrum? What are some of your experiences with that?
Working with children that are living with autism or other neurodevelopmental disabilities, it can be challenging. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of understanding, and also a lot of different techniques that are very effective if used properly. You have to bond with the child. You have to understand their level of communication so that you can help them to bring that out in the form that they are most comfortable in. It's also very therapeutic for me as well, because you're able to get that child to engage in an activity that normally they're not comfortable doing. With art therapy, as it's called, children are having fun. They are able to work with fun materials, whether it's rice or beans or paint or clay, and oftentimes they don't get a chance to work with those materials. And so you're allowing them to freely create. You can give them a subject matter, but you're allowing them to freely create according to how that subject matter lines up in terms of their ability. So it's fun. I enjoy it. We have a ball. We just don't make art. We make friends. We bond. We laugh. We wiggle. We enjoy the process. Art is it's therapeutic in terms of there's a product, but there's also a process. So we enjoy the process. Hand over hand, the rubbing of paint, the smearing of paint, the dotting, pointillism. So sometimes the product itself, it may be wacky and crazy and it may not be the masterpiece that you thought it would be in terms of from a adult perspective, but from that child's perspective, oh my God, it's exciting.
Faces of Autism began back in 2010 when I was serving as community service director at Young Audiences of Houston. That was a Music for Everyone program that myself and Catherine Taylor created, and we began to implement an interventional music curriculum in the schools.
Music for Everyone is an interventional music curriculum that is designed to provide services for special education students in low-income areas.
T.H. Rogers was a wonderful residency where a lot of the students were so unique. They were multiply impaired, all of them different, and they all had some unique skills about them. Unique personalities about them, and what a beautiful body of work that came out of that particular residency. Now, the first piece I did for the Faces of Autism series was my own son, Noah. I did about 3 pieces on him so far, and the first one was when he was real young, and it was that facial expression that sort of grabbed my attention and made me want to do a portrait of him. Noah has always been sensitive to sound, so the piece on titled Sound Sensitivity was another piece that I did of him as he got older. I did that particular piece simply because it was important to me to capture that particular moment. At the time, I didn't know if Noah was going to grow out of those sound sensitivity issues. But at that time, that was one of his characteristics of autism. He was always covering his ears with his fingers to, I guess, help with that sound sensitivity issue that he was facing. Faces of Autism series began back in 2010. I began documenting some of the children that I would work with through the Music for Everyone program, and that led to just a really unique compilation of images to work from. So the first few pieces I've done, Reluctant Participant, Sound Sensitivity, these were images that I first documented when the residency was first conducted at the Briarwood School. I then also conducted the Music for Everyone residency at Dixon Elementary, where my son Noah attended. From that, it began to build up. I found momentum with that body of work as I began to work with more children and documenting through photographs, just documenting the activities that we would participate in. Then came the residency at Avondale House, where I'm at now. And currently, I mean, it's what a wonderful, wonderful body of work I've been able to create from images and documenting the students here at Avondale. they're a wonderful group, and you know, it's just all of them have their really unique personalities that really it shows in the artwork that I've created of them.
Embracing the title of being an advocate. You know, I never would have identified myself as being an advocate years ago. You know, when I thought of the word advocate, I thought of someone that would, you know, mostly be on the front line, you know, with the signs up of saying things like, you know, no, or freedom of speech, or rights, you know, those type of signs. But when I realized that I was an advocate, I embraced the calling, because I knew that it meant that I had to be a voice. When Hannah received the diagnosis of being autistic, again, it was shocking. And as I've always said, I've done like a lot of parents do. I did my research, and I wanted to find the answers. Not only did I want to find the answers, I wanted to find solutions, and I wanted to cure her. And I know that sounds very comical, but I felt that as her mother, I had to be that hero. I had to find out, what can I do to find an answer to fix this, because I had no idea how this journey was going to line up with her life and you know, the plans that I had. So immediately I joined different organizations, different parent groups, so that I could know that I wasn't alone. You know, a lot of times we feel isolated. We feel that this diagnosis is all about you and your child, and you have to find out what you're going to do to fix it. Therefore, I joined parent support groups, and also joined the Disability Leadership Network of Houston. That was truly my first step in the path of learning about being an advocate. This was a training for parents, for advocates, and for individuals that are interested in the field to learn more about what it means to be an advocate. I surrounded myself by people who were living the same, what I call nightmares that I was living at the time. You know, it was scary, but I knew that I had to go past my fears. I befriended lots of wonderful people who are, again, experts in the field, who would help me to find the resources that I needed, and also to gain that confidence in order to learn how to push beyond fear. And another thing I did was I started a ministry at my church. I started a special needs ministry for children that had special needs, not necessarily autism, but any type of disability. And with this ministry, I would embrace these children once a month, twice a month. It was a typical church setting, classroom setting. And so these children would also have a chance to make friends, to learn wonderful practical techniques. It was just set up like a typical Sunday school class. But the wonderful thing about it was that I surrounded myself by other educators who also were passionate about teaching these children, and also teaching them about the Word of God. And also parents had a chance to network and get resources. Additionally, I became a fellow of Lone Star Land, and that was such a wonderful, eye-opening experience. Lone Star Land stands for Leadership in Education and Autism and Neuro and Developmental Disabilities. It is a training program that is designed to develop leaders in the field of autism and neurodevelopmental disabilities. It's a 10-month intensive interdisciplinary training model that is focused on leadership, cultural competencies, and evidence-based practices. And throughout those 10 months, oh my God, I learned what it means to be a leader in the field. I learned about how the diagnosis is done. I was able to go to different clinics in the medical field and experience firsthand how the diagnosis is done and how parents are informed. And it was just an eye-opening experience that helped me to be more confident and also just to learn more in depth about autism history and where we go from here. And so as an advocate, I've embraced the calling. I'm excited. I love sharing my knowledge with especially parents that are just getting the diagnosis and they have no clue as to where to go, what door to knock on. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about, being there, being a role model, and helping them to embrace just their rights, and also embracing that leadership quality that exists within them, because we have to advocate for our children. Thank you.
As an advocate for special needs children, especially my son, we have to speak up for them. We have to talk for them. Because my son, being nonverbal, he can't speak for himself. So I often find myself advocating in art meetings or advocating in grocery lines.
When you have a child with autism, you must become an advocate. I remember one of the things that I had to do after we received the diagnosis. I thought to myself, wow, how do we navigate this chaotic maze of education, medical, therapeutic systems out there, And one of the things that I had to do was push up my sleeves and get to work. Most of the time I tell parents that people can only share with you their experience, because one size does not fit all with this diagnosis.
Sometimes people just don't understand what it is to be autistic or what it is to have a child with autism. Most of the time people will say, oh, I feel so sorry for you. And I had to say, no, don't. Because to be around a child with autism, you'll begin to grow in so many ways. You'll grow in patience. You'll grow in acceptance. You'll grow in understanding. And all of those things are qualities that I like sharing with individuals who are maybe unknowing to the disorder autism. So as an advocate, we always have to speak for our children, especially when they can't speak for themselves. And not only our children, we have to speak for all of the children. Because they sometimes don't have a voice to speak for themselves.
You have to push up your sleeves and you have to find out what works for your child and for your family. To research, you have to get out there and you have to talk to people. You have to go places, do your own research for it to make sense to you. You can't wait for somebody just to give you all the answers. And then you have to put it all together, the information that you receive. I've learned more from just talking with other parents and sharing experiences than I have any doctor. Talking to parents have been the best for me. And you find out, what did you do for your child, whether it's food, whether it's therapies, and or medicines or not medicines. And so you become an advocate. You have no choice. You have to know your child, because if you know your child, you can help others know your child and do what is best for your child.
What's it like to be an art educator? It's exciting. It's never a boring moment. I truly began teaching at the age of 16. I started teaching at a local Third Ward Community Center known as Shape Community Center, which is a wonderful beacon of light in the Third Ward community. I signed up to be a camp counselor, as they say, and Lloyd Parker is the founder of that wonderful organization, and I was a art education / camp counselor at the time, teaching little folks, as we call them, the joy of creativity. At the time, I just wanted to teach. I just knew I had a passion for it. And so, again, I was teaching different forms of art, mixed media, as I call it, painting and quilt making and drawing. And I loved it. It was so much fun. But I did not know at the time that I was planting seeds, and also that organization was molding me for where I am now. So again, I fast forward, I continue to do my research and focus on learning more about art, learning more about embracing other forms of art through different entities. And so when I became a public school teacher within HISD, I enjoyed my opportunity to teach children K through 12, and then middle school, and then later high school, in various art forms. I worked with nonprofit organizations, private schools, at-risk students, you name it. All of these opportunities were different, of course. Some were very challenging, and many of them were eye-opening. The children that I work with, a lot of them did not have, a lot of the programs did not have what I call fine art materials. You know, we were limited. And so, of course, we were using materials that were easily accessible. And I do believe that's where the mixed media came in, because we would use materials that we could find, that were donated, and also things that they could bring from home. So collages and using portraits and using magazine scraps were powerful tools back then. And so they were able to tell their stories. They were able to create from what they had by any means necessary again. But I also noticed that as a teacher in the public school, I was not able to reach my students one-on-one. A lot of the classrooms were overcrowded, and the timing was quick. It was introduce the subject, teach the subject, be a classroom monitor, and make sure that they create a product and then go on to the next class. So oftentimes I found out that my students were lacking in the arena of being able to complete assignment or fully understand an assignment, because I had to stay on track. And so also when I would receive students from what we call special needs class, they, to me, were not truly benefited, because I was not properly trained on how to work with them one-on-one. I had to treat them like I treated the other students, unfortunately. And they had a different calling. They needed a lot of one-on-one one-on-one, a lot of hand over hand. And I wasn't able to give them that because I wasn't trained at the time. So it affected me tremendously. So when my daughter was diagnosed, I was able to see that there was a different approach that needed to be adapted. And so that's where my program came in, which was known as Creative Explorations at the time, where I truly did my research and realized that children, not just children on the spectrum, but children with autism and other special needs, they gravitate to the arts, and also they needed that one-on-one in order to be able to express themselves. You know, that it helped them to develop eye contact, but there was a special approach that they needed. Why? Because they're special, they're exceptional, and we cannot rush the process. So art, to me, became, it became fun. Again, it became not only educational, but it became art from the heart, which is what I call it, because I had to slow down the process and allow them to work in the capacity that they were comfortable in. Art education is a tool that we all need. A lot of times we're not able to express ourselves, and we need a form of outlet that we can use to express our desires, our needs, our fears, our emotions in a way that can be accepted. And so as an art education here, I just love the process. I love that, it's limitless. It's not just one form. It's paint, it's clay, it's mixed media, it's drawing, it's sewing, it's crafts, and it needs to be embraced, and it needs to be a part of a child's curriculum daily.
As an educator, what a joy I get out of watching that little growth. It's watching them catch on to a song and singing, watching them accomplishing a finished artwork, a piece of a painting or a collage that they may be working on. To watch them get to that finished product and to watch them go through the process, that creative process of building on a work. For me, working with children with autism isn't necessarily arts and crafts, although there are activities that I try to do that are quick and simple to get, to have, so they can walk away with something. But then there are some where I really want them to really engage in the creative process. I really want them to take the time and do the rough draft of a painting, and then to work on the negative space and then the positive space of a painting, and then go back in and add all the details to a particular painting. And that creative process, watching them go through that is so rewarding, especially when they feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of it all. Children with special needs are facing a daily challenge in the areas of physical, social, and cognitive development. However, research shows the arts can play a key role in overcoming those obstacles. Students struggling to hold a pencil or place their fingers into a pair of scissors at a young age is understandable. But for children with autism at any age, these painstaking tasks can lead to anxiety, escapism, and total meltdowns. Fine and gross motor development is essential for children learning to write, dress themselves, and create beautiful art. Research has shown that visual arts can serve as an instrument for students' development in these areas. Out of the blue came, just like that, out of the blue. I worked with Janice last year on an autism awareness function she conducted at Mecca in 2018. And I said, I think we both agreed then, hey, maybe we should try collaborating on something this year, for the next year, for 2019. And so out of the blue was, just that, out of the blue. Hey, there's a space I know of, the Dubin Pinter Gallery. I know the people that in charge that run it. So let's reach out to them and see if we can, make something happen. We met with them, and what a great meeting it was. And everything began to just flow after that. We're excited to have Jawad as the entertainment for that night. We are excited to have Nicole Wilson, who is the director of the Autism Moms Are Beautiful Network, and Judy Blake with the Family to Family Network. All of these individuals will be on hand speaking, and we're promising to make it one fun night, an intimate evening of art, entertainment, and information. And so that's what we hope to really accomplish with Out of the Blue. Sharing our work as well as sharing information, bringing in individuals that can provide information, as well as making it an intimate evening for just talking and getting to know the artists, getting to know the community, and just sharing, a night of sharing.